Hey guys, tonight I want to take a few minutes to go over some aftermarket dipstick information if you're running one of these in your 47 or 48 RE. We're specifically going to talk about this low car cable here, but this is a procedure that you really need to check anytime you're buying an aftermarket dipstick. So what I've ran across is that these low car dipsticks are actually incorrect as far as where they are reading fluid level from. I'm going to install this into the transmission here and then show you this other factory dipstick and explain to you how just a little bit of variance in fluid level can be a really big deal as far as length of the cable goes. So really got to make sure that these are 100% correct. This particular one here was installed on a truck. A fab shop did it for compound turbo piping. The factory dipstick was in the way, and they weren't necessarily transmission people, so they just assumed that they could install this and it would be good, and it was actually reading very low on the stick and caused a very premature transmission failure out of the deal. So I'm going to stick this in this case and talk to you guys about it and show you guys how to measure to make sure that your aftermarket dipsticks are the correct length. So first I'll show you this dipstick on an OEM setup here. This is just a factory 3rd gen dipstick tube and dipstick. And if you take note to the fluid levels here, you'll see that circle there is indicating add. It says add right below it. And then this line with the knurling is the start of what they consider, getting into the safe zone. And then full is actually at the base of this boss in the transmission case. So where this grommet sticks through, this is actually, the full line is actually up into this part of the case here. So to properly fill this transmission, you're actually going to be getting fluid up past this. Now you'll see on this low car setup that the dipstick reads low all the way down here. Very, very far away from that boss, and the top of the full line is well below this boss. The top of that full line should be all the way up into basically where the lip of this boss starts. So you can use a set of calipers if you have calipers, or you can do this with a tape measure and measure to see how far down your full line starts. So really, your full line should just be up in here. This particular one here was off by 800 thousandths, which might not sound like a lot, but that's over 3/4 of an inch. So when this is all the way topped off full, it's about 2 quarts low on fluid, and 2 quarts low on fluid in a high horsepower truck is absolutely enough fluid to do some serious damage. You're going to be starving the transmission of oil, and there's a lot of things that are going to burn up. And essentially, this transmission basically needed an entire refresh simply because this was incorrect. So when you get an aftermarket dipstick, make sure that you measure this. You want to take note on how your factory one looks, where the full line is on the OEM one, and then make sure that your aftermarket dipstick is showing the same full level in the same position as OEM. On these low cars, you can actually cut the end of the cable down, because this is just like a wire cable, and then you can shorten it at the other end, and so that would make it go back up in here more like it should be. So any aftermarket dipstick that you're messing with, make sure that you take that measurement, make sure the full is in the correct location, and if anything, err towards the full being a little higher up into the dipstick tube than lower, because higher means it's going to be a little bit overfull, and there's nothing you can hurt in the transmission with it being overfilled, but there's lots of things that can get hurt with it being underfilled. So doesn't matter what brand you have, always make sure that you're verifying that your dipstick is reading the 100% fluid level. So it's going to save you a lot of heartache and a lot of money. It's just something that you definitely need to keep an eye on. I was not aware of this issue. Unfortunately, this customer found out about it the hard way. I'm kind of learning about it the hard way as well. So I just wanted to make a little PSA video to put out there for you guys, so know that If you're messing with aftermarket dipsticks, check them, check them, check them.
Oh, no, that's thinking with your dipstick.
So why did you hit me?
Because you were thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.